I know it's a bit late, but I couldn't not do a video about the Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko fight that took place on Saturday evening. So much of a frenzy going on about this fight that I just haven't got time, but I thought I'd let my thoughts and opinions known. I watched a video of Steve Cunningham this morning, the heavyweight boxing Facebook page, and it was posted up on there, and he was talking about these Facebook pages, boxing pages, and these YouTube channels that that all of a sudden are popping up and commenting on boxing. And he's like, a lot of the opinions that you hear from these channels is just like, it's like crazy, and they're not very well informed, and they're talking about Vladimir Klitschko being an old man and over the hill. And he basically made quite a good point, saying that Vladimir Klitschko pulled off one of his best performances in a long time. So for Anthony Joshua to beat him, you have to give him props, because if you take age out of the situation, out of the equation, Vladimir Klitschko put on a fantastic performance, and he's got a lot more credibility in defeat, I guess, than he has for, dominating the division for so many years. And he said before the fight that this was his defining fight and his defining moment, and it is. And in a funny way, it didn't come in victory, it came in defeat, because he fought a young lion in Anthony Joshua, and he did so well to the point that it's open to debate, but to the point that he was actually winning the fight going into that 11th round. We saw that he dropped Anthony Joshua first time in his professional career, and Anthony Joshua tried to, finish Klitschko at one point after he got the knockdown and gassed himself out, and it took him about 2, 3, 4 rounds to get his breath back, and Vladimir Klitschko kind of took over the fight until the stoppage. And a lot of people are saying that if Klitschko had pushed it a little bit more when AJ was really exhausted, then he could have got the victory. But he allowed AJ to regroup, and he allowed AJ to come in and get the stoppage. I just thought it was a great fight. It was a great performance by both men. They both dug deep. And going back to my point, Klitschko said it was going to be his defining fight, and it was, because he'd done so well, and he dropped Joshua. He was winning the fight, and he put on such a formidable performance. So his stock has risen more in defeat than it has when he was reigning all those years ago. And it also makes me believe, all credit to Tyson Fury, maximum respect and credit. He did the impossible in Klitschko's own hometown. He came, he saw, he conquered, he took the belts. He completely, made the division what it is today, created mayhem. And you've got to give him maximum props for doing that. But if there's a little inclination in my mind that says, if Vladimir Klitschko had fought Fury the way he fought Joshua, he may have still been champion up until this fight, up to this point. So, I think when he fought Bryant Jennings and when he reigned and dominated for so long, I think he dominated by playing it safe and controlling the fights for so long. But when he fought Fury and Fury beat him, he lost his right to be so defensive, and he had to develop this new style which allowed him to fight harder and be riskier and give punches in order to land punches, and in order to kind of risk receiving punches for the sake of landing his own. And that's something he never did before. We saw him controlling the fight behind the jab. If he didn't have to get hurt, if he has to play it safe, then by all means. But when Klitschko fought Fury and Fury beat him, it changed the way Klitschko had to fight. He is now the challenger, not the champion, and he had to go and take it from the champion. And albeit it's a lot more of a risky approach to take, he adopted it. And as a result of that, he put on a fantastic performance. It's only unfortunate that, he got stopped. And I think, Steve Cunningham saying things like, his age has got nothing to do with it, but I think it has, to an extent. The performance was fantastic, but something that maybe you guys know that I don't. But do you think it's harder for a 41-year-old to take punches from a big young heavyweight like Anthony Joshua? That may have been a deciding factor. If it was someone like a Wilder or anybody else, somebody younger, a bit more fresh, do you think they would have been able to take Joshua's power shots a little bit better than Vladimir Klitschko? I mean, Vladimir Klitschko took them so well, magnificently, for him to kind of, not get dropped after the uppercut and to continue to fight up until the stoppage. It's just phenomenal within itself. So, I mean, fair play to Joshua. He regrouped and he dug deep because he got up from being knocked down first time in his career. He could have easily just let his head drop and allowed Klitschko to take over, but he fought right up until the end, right up to the last minute, and he got a fantastic stoppage. But, he did say at the end of the fight, he's not perfect. And I think he was alluding to the knockdown. He was alluding to the middle part of the fight when he wasn't doing much, when he gassed out. And for me, I'm not no boxing expert. I'm just a fan with an opinion, and I like talking about boxing. A lot of the boxers, they get sort of, upset and disappointed about fans, critiquing boxers. They like, you're not a boxing trainer, you're not a boxer yourself, so how can you critique? But, you hear, for example, lots of people, sportsmen, talking about politics, for instance. Everybody's got an opinion on politics, whether you're a sportsman, whether you're a politician, whether you're your average Joe. Everybody's got an opinion, and everyone has their right to voice it. So I'm not criticizing anybody in any way, but I feel like I'm just dealing with the facts when I talk about Anthony Joshua getting dropped by Klitschko. I think, looking back at the fight, I think Vladimir's jab was tremendous. I think he was controlling the fight with the jab, and I just felt Joshua looked as though he didn't have a plan B, and I felt like there were times during the fight where, he wasn't able to land any significant shots, and I thought Vladimir Klitschko was running away with it till the stoppage. But, for him to kind of get the stoppage is great, but I think, he landed that uppercut in the middle of an exchange with Klitschko, and in the middle of an exchange, anything can happen. The younger man is likely to get the win over the older fighter, particularly if you're as strong and powerful as Anthony Joshua and you're kind of aging. I mean, yes, Klitschko put on a fantastic performance, but he's aging. He's 41 years old. I don't think he's able to take those punches as well as he could do when he was young and fit and fresh 15 years ago, 10 years ago. But fair play to Anthony Joshua. I mean, there's things, personally, I just think that he needed to jab more. I think he needs to work on stamina more. I think he needs to work on the head movement a little bit more. And this is just like basic things that I just noticed, and I just thought that, he could kind of improve on that going forward, and I'm sure he will. I think if he, let me know what your thoughts are, but he looked really gassed, and I think, is muscle a factor? The fact that he's so muscle bound is the fact he's put on so much muscle. Is that creating problems for his stamina? Does he have this mentality of, I'm big and strong, I've stopped everybody in my path, I don't need to work on stamina, I'm just going to work on, destroying fighters early, like a Mike Tyson approach? A lot of people saying that Mike Tyson was a 4 or 5 round fighter, but then when you took him into the depths,